after finishing the Honda S2000, I wanted to do another Japanese legend, and this time I decided to go with the Tamiya RX-7. It's a really simple kit. It comes with an engine and has a really good potential to be detailed to the max. Now, I'm not gonna do that. I do have a couple of extras like this Fujimi brake set. These come with the Fujimi wheels, and some window masks from Hobby Design to do the black surrounding on the windows. And I will probably change the exhaust, or at least the muffler and the wheels, and that's pretty much all that I will do to this kit for the most part. Now, the clear parts are separated in a front and a rear half. Not really that much to show there. Also just very clean and nice looking parts. Now, the interior tub is one piece. The side panels or the door panels are molded in, which is a bit of a downside, but in the end it's the interior, so you won't really be able to see much of it at all. The rest of the parts really nicely cast. Not that much flash or that big of mold lines anywhere, so it's really easy to go through and just build a nice simple model out of the box. So as always, just like any other build, I start off by removing the mold lines on the body. For the ones that don't know, mold lines are lines left on the body where the two mold halves meet up. A bit of plastic squeezes through, it leaves a line that is not supposed to be there, so I just sand it off. In this case, I'm doing that with some 600 grit sandpaper. Just sand it off until it's completely gone and you can't see it anymore. And with that one done, move on to the next one, and the next one after that. And with all those mold lines removed, you can just sand the entire body down with some 600 grit sandpaper and move on to scribing the panel lines out. I can pretty much already hear you guys thinking, that Panelline scriber looks really fancy and I've never seen you use that before. Well, you would be correct. I bought this a while back, about 2 months ago. While I was on Facebook, I stumbled upon a post from Yellow House Club. This is a Facebook page specifically for armor models and some accessories, and they made a panel scriber. The only thing that pretty much attracted me to the post was the box that it came in, and later when I was done looking at the box, I found out that it was a panel scriber, which looked really good as well. And I figured I kind of want to have it just because of the box it comes in. And in the end, it's also a pretty darn good Panelline scriber. Now, they did not pay me to say anything about the panel scriber. They really don't even have anything to do with me using it, apart from making it and selling it to me. So after scribing these panel lines out, you can pretty much figure out the rest. The body was cleaned off and I applied a couple of coats of primer and somehow managed to not press the record button. Well, in this case, that's really not that big of a deal, as there were still a couple of rough spots in the primer that were pretty clearly visible, so I needed to sand those out and fix them before I could apply another couple of coats of primer. And I also discovered that the panel lines around the door rubbers were pretty much non-existent. So I took out the Panelline scriber again and carefully and slowly scribed those panel lines in, sanded the body all the way with some 600 grit sandpaper, cleaned it off, and applied a couple more coats of primer. So again, as mentioned, after scribing those panel lines, I moved on to sanding the rest of the body with some 600 grit sandpaper in order to get ready for the next coat of primer. And in this case, I'm also showing the before stage of when I add the primer, as I usually skip this step in the videos. So basically what I do is I blow over the entire body with just air through the airbrush to get rid of any of the dust that might have fallen onto it, and just to be sure that it's absolutely spotless, I also go over it again with a tack cloth. Now a tack cloth is a sort of rag with a sort of sticky stuff on it. It's really low sticky tacky stuff to get rid of any of the final dust that might have been on the body. Now after doing that, I just set the body aside, put some primer in the airbrush, and apply a couple of coats of primer. Now in this case, as I sanded and corrected a couple of spots on the body, I sanded through the primer and got back to the bare plastic. So for this first coat, I will just do a light coat on those bare plastic parts, then set the body aside for 5 minutes to let that dry off, and then do a final coat on the entire body in order to make it ready for the color. So as mentioned, after doing that spot primer, just set the body aside to let that dry for about 5 minutes, and then move on to doing a full coat over the entire body, covering all the panels and all the bare plastic in order to make it ready for the next step, which will be applying the color.